Alright, this is the final lesson in your series on vertebrates, and today we're talking about birds. There's about 9,000 different kinds of birds in the world. They live all over the world. They live even in Antarctica during the summertime. You can find birds in the rainforest. You can find birds anywhere. Birds are all alike in these ways. So these are your bird characteristics, which will help you with the assignment. All birds lay eggs. All of them. They don't have live birth or anything like that. They all lay eggs. They all have feathers. Think of the other groups. Mammals have hair. Amphibians moist skin. Reptiles have scales. Fish have scales. None of them have feathers. Only birds have feathers. They have 2 feet. And they all have 2 feet. All the feet are different, and they are for different purposes. Some are for holding on to limbs and trees, and some are for running in the water. Some are for scratching up stuff like a chicken. But they all have 2 feet, whereas the other groups might have a combination of 2 feet, two legs, 2 arms, or 2 fins and flippers, whatever it might be. All birds have 2 feet. All birds have a beak. And again, the beaks are for different purposes, but they all have a beak. And all birds have 2 wings. Now the added on characteristic, birds have light, hollow bones, and that's what helps them to fly. So these 6 characteristics are what is expected out of you whenever you are creating your bird characteristic assignment. So let's talk a little bit more about birds. Feathers, and you will see this on your quiz, so make sure you pay attention to this. Bird feathers are called its plumage. Feathers are different colors, different sizes. They keep the feathers clean by combing their beaks, so if you can imagine them ducking their neck down and their beak into their feathers and just kind of combing it. That's how they clean them. That's called preening. Feathers are one of the most important designs of a bird for their flight. Wing feathers, they have to be light, they have to be strong, they have to be able to move so they're flexible. That helps them to get the lift, turn. Stiff feathers in the back and their tail, that helps them to steer, helps them to slow down, helps them to keep their balance while they're standing and while they're flying. Pay attention to this. This will be part of the quiz. The 3 types of feathers. You have downy feathers, which are the feathers that are next to the bird's body. That's what keeps them warm. If you've seen a new baby bird or baby chick born and they look kind of fluffy, those are downy feathers. When they grow up, they have body feathers, which cover most of their body, and then they have flight feathers on the wings. That's what helps them to fly. So again, know this when studying for your quiz. Birds live in different places, so they have to have different types of feet, but they all have 2 feet. You can tell in the top, this bird has to be able to curl its toes around branches, so its feet look a little bit different. Some have to climb and get bugs out of the trees, so they have to be able to stand against that tree trunk and pull stuff out of the bark, so they kind of have a little bit more grip there. And then some birds have to wade in the water, and they have long legs like this, and they cannot hang out and not drown or anything like that. Some birds have to run along the shores of ponds or oceans, rivers, whatever. They're looking for food. This is what their legs look like. Some birds have to swim, and they have webbed feet, much like this duck here. And then some birds live on the ground. They have to have strong toes. They scratch up and dig for seeds and insects, as you can see here with this chicken. Bird bones, like I told you earlier, are lightweight, light and hollow. They're filled with air. The rib cage and backbone are joined together, and they make this stiff frame. And the strong muscles in there help the bird to fly. So light hollow bones and strong muscles help a bird to fly. They have to be, these big muscles have to be held together by a strong anchor that's called the keel. It's large and strong, and that's what holds the muscles together. I'll show you a picture of the keel. You'll notice the keel right here. This is what's holding everything together. These bones are light and hollow. They're filled with air, but the strong muscles is what helps them to get the lift. Okay, this is a real skeleton, by the way, of a chicken. Now, bird beaks, all the beaks are different, and obviously that these are out of order. So we need to think, what need does this animal have, and what beak would be best? Ducks. Ducks don't crack seeds, so I look down the list. Ducks actually need to get food from a lake. Cardinals don't grab small animals. They're not doing that. Cardinals actually crack seeds. Woodpeckers, they're not going to sip nectar. We know what woodpeckers do. They're going to hammer into the tree. Eagles will swoop down and pick up small animals. So that's them. And then hummingbirds like to sip nectar. So these are some beak purposes. All the beaks are different, just like the feet are different, because they all do different things, eat different things, live different places, so that's really important. These are some common backyard birds that you might find just hanging out. Hummingbirds, mockingbirds, crows, stellar jays, and pigeons. Just some birds you would see possibly here. These are your seabirds that you might see, an albatross, the petrel, the cormorant, the murre, the penguin, the pelicans, the gulls. All these birds have different feet for the purposes of being around water, and beaks for picking up fish and other animals that they might eat from the ocean. And then you've got your flightless birds. These birds do not fly. They have wings, they have feathers, but not all of them can fly. These birds do not fly: the penguin, the ostrich, and the kiwi. So this has been a quick lesson on birds. I do want to remind you that your bird assignment is coming up soon. Make sure that you remember these characteristics when studying. Birds lay eggs. Birds all have feathers. They all have 2 feet. Different spots, different places, but they all have 2 feet. They all have a beak. They all have 2 wings, and they have light, hollow bones. Know these characteristics as you're studying for your quiz, your test, you're doing your assignments. Make sure you know this is what makes a bird a bird. If you have any other questions, please feel free to ask me or message me on Edmodo.